Let me talk you through Callum's journey. It's one of my favorite transformations today. And it's Callum going from drinking and depression to energy, clarity, and the leadership that he always wanted to demonstrate within his family environment. This is Callum. Callum was struggling when he first joined us. He's 33, he's got a very young family, and he works in a very high pressure sales job. With a high pressure job comes a lot of stress, and with a young family comes stress and also limited time. So he was often utilizing things like food and alcohol to manage the stress because they were easy and they were accessible. It also meant he was struggling with his boundaries around things like food and alcohol, particularly when he was out and about with colleagues who would often have work meetings and lunches, which would lead to overconsumption. And with a provider mentality where he was really ingrained in this view that he's here to build a lifestyle of wealth and opportunities for his family, he often prioritized that over himself, which is no bad thing, but it basically meant that he would not focus any time and energy or create any emphasis around his own goals. And because he'd been struggling with his weight since he was a teenager, he always had this lack of confidence that he could feel was seeping through into his work life and into his family life too. There was a deep fear within him that if he didn't manage this now, the drinking would get worse, the overconsumption of food would get worse, and he wasn't sure what would happen to his health, but he also didn't want to impact his family life either. So here are some of Callum's core challenges. With a high stress lifestyle and limited time, it was so easy for him to utilize the food and the alcohol to manage it. But all that was doing was actually making things harder for him because the more he just ate and drank, the less confident he felt in himself, the less opportunities he had to actually resolve some of the challenges that he was experiencing. And he struggled with the ability to communicate, create boundaries, and talk to others about what he was really, really feeling. And by disconnecting from what was going on around him, it made life more challenging. And instead of being able to really vocalize these challenges, what he would do is try and solve all the problems himself, which made him feel more isolated. So he'd spend hours on YouTube looking for solutions, looking for ways forwards, but ultimately keep coming up short. And when he was coming up short, it only made it clearer to him that he would never find a solution for it. But there was a fix to his challenges. Here's exactly what we did first. We focused on the three biggest constraints first. He was time limited, there was lots of travel involved, and because he had a poor relationship with food and alcohol, he was using them to disguise and avoid stress. And he had very low energy and confidence in what to do, which basically meant that even if he did have the right things in place for himself, he wasn't following through on them because he didn't actually believe that they would work. This is when myself and my specialist team got to work. We had to meet Callum where he was. Mentally right now, he had been driven by data for so long. He did that for work. He'd explored that for his own goals as well. And he really liked the idea of seeing numbers change. So we focused on getting his training in line with a higher performance. We focused on setting clear targets around his nutrition. And we looked at some of the health metrics that matter through exploring his blood work and looking at things like his resting heart rate and his blood pressure. The thing with Callum as well, he was very all or nothing. There was a perfectionism mindset that he had, and it carried through to everything he did. So rather than just give him one approach, we allowed him to develop a graded system with us. So we looked at what he could do on his worst days and what he could do on his best days. And as long as he was within this scale, it enabled him to stay on track. And the thing is, because his environment was always changing with work, he was traveling to different countries, and he also had a young family, as well as lots of social occasions too. It was important that we didn't just give him a one-size-fits-all approach. It had to work alongside his mindset too, as well as the constraints that he was facing. By doing that, it meant that he always had something that he could lock in with, which kept him incredibly consistent throughout the process. Ultimately, the results speak for themselves. This is the most confident and energetic he's ever been, but also the resilience started to shine through too. So even when work got more stressful, instead of using food and alcohol, he was actually tuning into the coping strategies that we'd given him. And in his workplace, he's actually got promotion after promotion since he's joined us. 32 kilograms down. So this is a guy that said to me, I am the fat kid of the family. And he had ingrained that mentality into everything he had done, which also impacted his confidence. But now he's able to lose the weight and also maintain the healthy habits that he's learned along the way. And from a performance perspective, he's out there climbing mountains now. So when he first joined the program, I mentioned to him, hey, every year we climb Snowdon and it's a great physical challenge. And immediately he said, that will never be me. But after the work that we've done, he was one of the first ones up that mountain when we went as a group. He's also incredibly consistent with his exercise and enjoying the fact that he's pushing his body to achieve personal bests. And that's something that he'd always felt uncomfortable doing previously because he felt like when he went into the gym environment, everybody was staring at him. But now he's got the confidence in how to train, he's got the confidence in how to stay consistent, and he enjoys the training as well. It's made him feel unstoppable. But none of this happens without a very clear system in place. And I'll talk you through the system that we utilized with Callum. Every single client would look different in different areas of this journey. But I'll share with you what we did in the foundation, acceleration, elevation, and peak performance stage with Cal. The first thing was actually understanding his health metrics, realizing where we needed to start the journey from, because that allowed things to become very logical for Callum. When we noticed his resting heart rate was actually through the roof, we focused on his cardiovascular health, and that enabled him to see results fairly quickly once he started to put into place the actionable steps that we gave him around training. Once he started to see the numbers of his resting heart rate drop, he felt more confidence in his health and his fitness and stamina, which allowed us to then focus more on his performance within the gym. Alongside that, we also looked at the data that we could gather around his nutrition, reviewing what he was currently doing, reviewing how he managed his meals out with his colleagues when he was going to work, and also how he managed his family meals too, which meant that we could create a more integrative system with his nutrition. So there was no foods that he couldn't have that were completely ruled out. All of the nutritional advice we gave him was around things that he enjoyed to eat, which led to the consistency that we needed to be able to see the result that we got with him in the long term. After this, we started to focus on the awareness of the underlying stress and the fears that he had that was keeping him trapped where he was. The perfectionism, the all or nothing mindset, this view that he would never really be able to see results because every attempt that he tried in the past had always failed him. So this is where we brought in our specialist team to actually talk through these challenges head on with him, which again enabled him to unlock coping strategies that were aligned to the vision and the goals that he had for himself. Then we looked at elevation, and this is really focusing on his performance. So it wasn't just about going to the gym. We started to set targets from session to session so that he could see himself improving in his technique with lifting, but also some of the other metrics that showed us progress, i.e. getting stronger, getting fitter, and also recovering quicker. Ultimately, Callum's at this stage now where it's all about integration. With so many pulls on his time and his energy with work and his family, socially speaking too, it was so important that everything we advised him on felt like something he could do consistently for the long term. So integration is where we look at the lifestyle overall and we make sure that he knows what his minimals are to sustain progress and what his maximals are. So when he does have more capacity, he knows how to push himself too. The results have been absolutely phenomenal. He's gone from being overweight, always tired, always irritable, feeling unsure of himself, lacking the ability to actually say no at work, lacking the ability to say no to food and alcohol, to feeling completely in control, acting like the leader that he truly is and becoming a powerful role model to his friends and his family as well. He has a whole toolkit to manage his stress, his emotions, and his mental health. So he knows how to manage it when life does get stressful and life does get overwhelming. The confidence that comes from knowing how to look after himself physically has spilt into everything he does, from getting the promotions at work, from how he leads himself in the family environment, and how he supports others that are also in this process trying to achieve the best results that they can achieve. Let me give you a quick insight into who we work with. We work with Indian men that are driven to be the very best that they can be in all walks of life. Over the last period of time, you've probably pushed yourself very, very hard to make sure that you're able to provide and protect your family. But over a period of time, you've lost yourself, you've lost that identity, and you've lost that real leadership from within. You're starting to notice it's impacting your confidence. You're not sure how to manage your nutrition, your training, your lifestyle, and find a balance with everything else that is important to you. But you know deep down that you need to make a change because your health is telling you that you need to make changes. Your body is telling you that you're ready to make a change, but you're just not sure how. And that's where we step in with the Complete Health Rewire. This is not a cookie cutter program. Everything we develop is completely built for you as an individual, which allows us to develop custom nutrition, tailored training, and give you the specialized support from looking at your blood work through to the mental well-being support we provide too, because we expect there to be a level of overwhelm. We expect there to be a level of stress in your life because you're pushing yourself and always trying to reach for your highest potential. With that level of support around you, alongside the education, the events where we get our members together, and the community that's there to support you, to inspire and motivate you every single day, as well as our weekly check-in system, which means we know exactly when you're on the right track, when you're deviating off the path, and when you need to be pulled back into line to know how to move forwards and how to overcome some of your biggest challenges. The system is phenomenal. This is the most comprehensive online coaching program you will ever experience, and it's completely designed to get you the results that you deserve. So my question that I've got for you right now is, where could you be in 6 to 12 months from now with this level of support accessible to you 24/7? If you've been feeling like something's missing lately, like something's not quite where it should be, and you've identified that having more energy, having greater health, and feeling more confident in your physicality is the thing that's going to enable you to really reach your true potential, all you need to do is drop me a message with the word rewire. We'll sit down together, we'll look at your goals, we'll look at the biggest constraints that are currently standing in your way, and if this is the right fit for you, we'll develop a strategy to show you how you can get from where you are today to where you want to be in the next 6 to 12 months. Any questions, let me know, but I look forward to hearing from you.